afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the desk here at hi-rez Studios in Athena, Georgia. We got an exciting European day today. We just saw the split right down the middle between Team Dignitas and who they took on. So right now we've got Cringe Crew versus Fantastique.
Fantastique. You got to say it that way, too. Not Fnatic anymore here. Fantastique coming in. A pretty new roster, right? MoGoW's been around for a while. Jermain and Dardez, formerly of Myrmidons. They were the Challenger Cup team that were able to qualify into the SPL this split. And they've added Jiffy to their lineup. This guy, we talk about him a lot, right? He had a lot of high hopes coming into Fnatic. It doesn't work out, but he seems a lot more comfortable here on this Fantastique lineup. They've brought in nulisa as well. This seems like a unit that is bottom four here, but I mean, I think they have a lot of chances to grow throughout this split.
Exactly, and I think you really hit the nail on the head when you brought in nulisa into the conversation, because when you look at the mid lane, it's less about, and the jungle, it's more about that synergy, mid and jungle together. We see how successful that's been for her winning Homie FA entering Denial over on North America. And really, I think that's how you got to look at the team. So you've got that 3 core players from the Myrmidons, and then you've got these 2 core players coming together, sort of keeping their synergies within the unit and then hoping that they blend together. Across the side, you've got Cringe Crew, a team that has really kept together their core and sort of made changes here or there. One of the big things working for them last season was Zashu, and unfortunately, things didn't work out for him. So they had to switch around, and that gave them a speed bump.
They've got Zyrhoes now, you know, rotating over from that mid lane into the solo position, still very strong. The key player for me here is, as you fix your, I'm just going to bring attention to it. Got to straighten it up there, looking good. But Emilzy actually is kind of the guy for me. He's not going to be playing today, unfortunately. He has a school field trip, and because he's just the cutest little kid ever. No. Shout-outs, though, to Emilzy. He puts on a lot of time. But FleuryQ is going to be subbing in for him, and this is a little bit worrying because I think Emilzy kind of does run the aggression of this team. Yeah. And when they get leads, a lot of times it's off of his plays.
Yes and no. I'm actually very curious to see how this will work out. One of the things that that has been troublesome for me watching Cringe Crew was seeing almost over-aggression in the support role. A lot of what Emilzy does is outside of the game. They do a lot of work when it comes to VODs and VOD review. So I think that you'll still have the Emilzy presence, but maybe with FleuryQ stepping in a little bit of a step back, and then they'll be able to watch the VODs and, well, who knows what's going to happen, in all honesty.
FleuryQ actually, I mean, he's subbed in for multiple SPL teams, is something to note as well. This is not his first time playing at this level.
Exactly.
Consistently, he has never been there, but he's always been around. He actually has a pretty nasty Ares, which you talk about a lot. when you look at support players in Europe, like the ones that are fringe, most of them have like these like really strong Ares play that just like seems out of nowhere almost.
Right. It's all, you know, it should fit right in with what Cringe Crew like to bring to the table. So first picks and bans for these two guys, for these two teams, excuse me. Fantastique taking on Cringe Crew. And CC will have the left side, which means they get the first pick and the first ban. And what, like we were talking about, it should be a very familiar playstyle. FleuryQ does tend to be a little bit aggressive, but as the sub, maybe a step back. And I think, like I said, over-aggression in the support role for Cringe Crew might have hurt them more than helped them. This substitution situation might be that opportunity for them to find that perfect balance.
So both these teams actually have lost hunger for more. They both were 2-0'd by them, but they both did find splits. Cringe Crew against Sanguine, formerly Leftovers, and we saw, I believe it was Fantastique, find a split in their opening day against Cyclone. So, I mean, these guys haven't really had the best starts. 1-3 right now when you look across their games, which is not surprising for Fantastique at all. If they were 0-4, I wouldn't be surprised. But Cringe Crew dropping that many is surprising to me. And it wasn't just like they were close to HFM, who's a top team, and lost to them. I mean, they got absolutely demolished.
Exactly. I think Cringe Crew, you know, Cringe Crew is a team that works well as the season goes on because they're able to see sort of what happened and how to go ahead and fix that. But Cringe Crew will snap pick that first choice of Vulcan for Kero right away.
That's a little bit surprising to see it, you know, first picked. Obviously, Vulcan has become very strong. We've seen some teams start to incorporate it. We saw it a lot at SCL LAN finals as well as the Epsilon Invitational, where the Vulcan was pretty prioritized, I think, by most mid laners there. But it's kind of died off here at the beginning of the split, and there are a fair amount of counters to Vulcan, one of them being Odin. And so Fantastique going to waste no time locking that in.
Yeah, Odin is an excellent choice by Fantastique to really pick that up and go with the Vulcan. The Vulcan pick right away sets Cringe Crew's sort of playstyle. They want to have that combination, whether it's the jungle or otherwise. They want to set up this 1-2 punch coming out of the mid lane.
I mean, the biggest thing here about the Odin, though, is you know, it's twofold, right? Not only are you picking this Odin who can now cage in Vulcan completely, but also a lot of teams like to synergize their Vulcan play with an Odin in their lineup, so they have that guaranteed, you know, unless you have a jump, you're stuck in this small circle. The Vulcan ult is going to hit you no matter what. You either Sanctuary or you die.
And also it shuts down other options for Cringe Crew, not able to go into that healing direction. Tier, not a straight healer, of course, he'll be selected there, but we're unlikely to see a Guan Yu selected by Cringe Crew, etc. So just one Odin pick can really change things around. Cringe Crew noticed that by going the Awilix, which will shut down the initiation from both Odin or Bacchus, although worth saying, just one of them.
Yeah, I almost want to think that Cringe Crew were going for like the full wombo combo, right? The Vulcan.
Yeah.
And then picking Odin Awilix right there, where it's like, if you jump away, we got you pulled. If you don't have a jump, you're going to be caged in here. Instead, though, this Odin, I think, is going to throw a little bit of trouble into Cringe Crew's lineup here. Bacchus and Zeus locked in as well. Bacchus obviously can get pulled by the Awilix, but sometimes it's dangerous. You don't always want to pull the Bacchus. In the early game, it's great. Awilix is such a hard counter. Anytime Bacchus tries to initiate, you can pull him away from the team fight. You can isolate him out, and you can pick him off. But once he starts getting tank items online, now you're investing not only your ultimate from Awilix, but you're also investing multiple other cooldowns. And a lot of times, the Bacchus will just survive that burst and kind of bait you into a bad fight.
I mean, we saw that last time around in just the last split or just the last series, right? You buy a shell on Bacchus, everybody initiates, and you waddle away, avoiding the Rom snipes.
I mean, he's really good at counter-initiating because he has the Chug, which gives him bonus protections. The shell normally will have a meditation if it's not a shell, sometimes both. And then just Bacchus in general has a lot of options with Intoxicate after you've locked him down, where it's just going to be harder to finish him off.
Jing will be the character of choice for Shaggyshenk, which honestly seems kind of weird, Adonis. I always see Shaggy as more of this straightforward damage in your face. It works out with the magical and the physical characters that he plays, gods like Ho-Yi and Kronos. Jing is more of a finesse character. I'm interested to see how he plays it.
I mean, there's a lot of utility around the gust. You know, you're able to knock up your opponent. You're able to also counter off of any opponent's knockups. You know, looking at this Bacchus, it's going to be a great counter pick into that. But it's really about the farming, right? Where you have this passive which can get you to lanes, get you to fights that you're normally not supposed to be at, and you get, you know, 500, 600, 700 gold ahead without having to ever fight, right?
Yeah.
And then by then, once you have that item lead, then you're just simply doing more damage than the other hunter.
Shaggyshenk trying to rush his way to crit, most likely. Both players starting off with their Devo gloves start, so that early lifesteal certainly going to be a big deal for both Cringe Crew and Fantastique over there in the long lane.
Yeah, sometimes we see switch-ups here where people will start this and then go straight into boots. Sometimes people will immediately stack it. There's actually a lot of hunter options right now. Typically, though,
A lot of fun.
Typically, though, it is these Devo's gloves, which are going to be able to keep you sustained in lane. They're also very gold efficient now. That was one of the big changes coming into this. This split actually was Devo Gauntlets lost a little bit of gold off of rank 1, which means now you can buy 2 potions when you start out, which is much better than the old only 1 potion for the hunter start if you wanted to go that direction.
Yeah, I guess you just sort of had to figure it out. And, you know, like you said, there's a lot of different options, and I kind of like that. Jermain having to keep an eye on a Repikas in the jungle. We might see those boots come out first for the movement speed to get away from the Awilix ganks, whereas a character like Jing has a lot of mobility in that kit. We might go directly into the Devo gloves as well. Who knows? There's a lot of different options, which, in my opinion, I like it. I think it's a lot of fun to see different options.
Yeah, and Shaggyshenk, like I said, is going to have a really good option into this Bacchus, right? With Dardez wants to get aggressive. When you're knocked up as Jing, you obviously can use your agility to dash away. It's the only counter to knockups in the game, and it's on a hunter.
Which is excellent. That's why we see the last choice, Jing. You know, just sort of, I wonder if we're going to see it like right away. But it's definitely a fun scenario to watch out. As far as the clear in this lane is concerned right now, pretty much even. I think at the moment you're seeing what you'll get in the early game. Athena is able to go ahead and dash up with Jing to really allow Cringe Crew to have some dominance for the moment.
Surprisingly enough, you know, it's less about the hunters when it comes to the clearing battle. There's a couple exceptions as WorldEdit here in a lot of trouble. Gonna have to short hammer. And Detonate was online for nulisa, hits level 3 just barely there, and Repikas, thanking his lucky stars, that health potion ticking definitely saved his life.
Yeah, Fantastique might be able to make a play on the jungle.
Are they seriously trying to set up, or are they scared? They're
Cringe
scared.
Crew is scared, but they still want it. You can see them sticking around. Kero with Vulcan kit certainly has a lot of options and choices to take out those mid-harpies, but going to play it safe. Neither team going for them just yet.
And this is something where Repikas has to be the scared one, right? For WorldEdit, he can just poke at range with his double tap. And Repikas, if he wants to fight, he's got a full commit. And because Repi's so low, there's no way he's going to be able to contest this. Just really well played by Fantastique. And, you know, smart knowledge from Cringe Crew as well, recognizing that they wouldn't really be able to take this 2v2 fight.
You know, this is something interesting, seeing the Zeus come out of nulisa. She's had a moderate start to the season, but in general has been picked off a lot when she's playing gods like Vulcan, which are, I would consider them almost safe. Still not a safe god.
I would not consider Vulcan that safe when you look at mages. I mean, safer than Zeus for sure.
That's really my point, is that Vulcan is not safe, almost. Hold that thought, though. Zyrhoes going to get caged up here. I would be surprised if he died, although...
No, he's going to die here. No ultimate online. The big thing in this fight, as he does get a heal, and he does actually hit 5 just barely. And Odin's not going to be able to chase him. I mean, I feel like that was more of a dropped kill from MoGoW than Zyrhoes outplaying him there. But he actually manages to keep 2 minions alive, which means once his power cleave come up, he was able to get the heal enough to survive the final couple of hits from MoGoW.
Exactly.
Ult away as well because he hits level 5. I mean, that was a little bit of luck and a lot of misplay from MoGoW.
Yeah, just saving those minions. Big play coming out from Zyrhoes right there. WorldEdit wants to take it over to the solo lane. It looks like he's going to clear these buffs up, but Zyrhoes playing very safe now. WorldEdit still thinking about it. Looking to make the play on his former teammate here on the solo lane side, but doesn't want to stick around too long. He'll just go for the farm. At
this point, he has to go for the farm. He doesn't have an option to set up for a kill, and we've seen what happens just yesterday, right, with DJ Pernicus against Thor, trying to camp the solo lane so much. While you do have those opportunities, right, if you stand around too long, you start to lose experience, fall behind the enemy jungler, and that's when it gets really dangerous, coming into, you know, those power spike items like who finishes boots first, who finishes the first Jotun's Wrath or Void Shield. So just playing it safe. If the opportunity's not there, just share the wave.
Especially here in the early game, like you said, looking for those specific power spikes. I think you've got a little more wiggle room when it comes to the mid game. You can stick around, find yourself down a little bit. But once in the early game, you need those very quick items to go ahead and actually make an impact. Otherwise, you're just a little bit too far behind and nobody really scared of you. Double tap onto Repikas, but the jump away comes before the Vulcan ultimate, so no big deal. Odin on the backside, however, jumped and pulled through the wall. No kill out of Kero from the Odin, but instead found by the Zeus. Excellent answer back as Repikas finds one as well. It's 1 for 1, but Fantastique on first.
Beautiful heads-up play there by Repikas. I mean, Cringe Crew do get first blood. Obviously, they try and set up the kill. They try and set up the 100-0 from WorldEdit onto Repikas there, but he's able to burn it. Actually, no, he actually saved his purification, still managed to get out. So WorldEdit burning everything when no one else was in position, but they were able to isolate out one player in their own jungle, right? Take out MoGoW. And then after that, just, I mean, Repikas finding that pool was great.
I mean, that was so much fun for me because in the air, about to kill the target and just yanked out. Like I said, unfortunately for Cringe Crew, nulisa still finds the kill, which, you know, credit to Fantastique.
The big thing is first blood there, right? MoGoW died after Kero, and if he dies first, that is not in Cringe Crew's favor, but because now they have the first blood bounty, it is not the biggest right difference, but the extra couple hundred gold is always nice, like trying to hit those power spike items.
Absolutely, and that's going to be what ties this game up for Fantastique. You can see that jut down in Fantastique's direction, but then Cringe Crew able to make a couple of plays afterwards. nulisa now just going to go back into her own jungle, pick off the red buff.
You know, looking at these team comps, right, it's very easy to see what Fantastique are going for, right? The Odin ult, the Zeus ult, the Thor, which gives you a variety of options for engaging, disengaging, peeling for Zeus, right? That's one of the things with Zeus is you need to have a jungler that can keep them alive, has a high pressure, you know, a lot of pressure in the jungle, and that's why we see the Thor picked up. It's just team fight central for Fantastique, but Cringe Crew, like, it's a little bit weird because they have double global mobility, right? Shaggyshenk's passive as well as the ult from Athena, but I don't necessarily know if they have the best pickoff potential outside of just trying to kill MoGoW over and over again.
Well, yeah, they're looking for a little bit of pick coming out from plays by Kero and Repikas, right? Find the meatball on literally anybody, ult them, and hopefully find the kill. I wouldn't call it a pick composition, Adonis, but I think there's elements of it there.
Yeah, it's like a mix of we want to pick people off with, you know, Repikas. Awilix is very good, right? Awilix is one of the best characters when it comes to just trying to get those leads through individual 2-on-1s, 1-on-3s, 1-on-1s.
Isolation.
Isolation is definitely what Awilix is best at here, but it doesn't look like they have like a ton of team fighting potential from the rest of their lineup, but they also don't have the worst, right?
Sure.
Tier provides a lot of control. Same with FleuryQ, and I guess that's what they're going for. It's going to be a lot of purification burners by Fleury on this Athena.
Yeah, I see sort of like a mid to late game composition where while they wait to get to the late game, you pick a couple of players off with good Awilix pulls, right? Shaggyshenk on this on the Jing way with the built-in critical strike, going to be fantastic. Athena, one of the better late game supports, just because setting up pure damage is always fun. You've got Mr. Vulcan. Awilix, not the most late game of assassins. The ultimate comes to mind, and then Zyrhoes able to corral people into wherever they don't want to be. Cringe Crew are really just looking for a good old-fashioned mid to late game team comp with a flash in the pan of pickoff.
It's really control. I was about to say troll. I meant control. It's really control for them. The more I look at it and break it down, right? They have the double knockups from the Vulcan meatball as well as Shaggyshenk's gust into the Awilix pulls, and then you have a lot of CC, a lot of beads burners. Looking at Zyrhoes, Repikas's pull, the taunt, even the knockup from Kero, right? That can be a death sentence if you're knocked up with the late game Vulcan.
And then sort of what we were talking about earlier, over the wall, neither player gets pulled. Repi just a little bit out of range. Maybe the hot play, but not hot enough.
Yeah, I mean, quick purification from nulisa there, really heads up awareness, and that's important too, because it's one thing if you see the Awilix coming, because it's very easy to just pop that purification, okay, I knew it was coming, but just like over the wall while you're trying to clear mid, all of a sudden you're knocked up, just to have that reaction time to make sure to get your purification off, because one of the things when it comes to Awilix and walls is, as you're pulled, right, you can purify the whole time, and you'll just drop wherever you are. So the later you purify, you won't be fully pulled to Awilix, but you will be closer. When it comes to pulling someone over walls, though, if you actually enter the geometry of the wall, your beads will not go off until you're on the other side. So that means nulisa made sure to press it fast enough to where she didn't get to the mid-camp wall.
Yeah, I mean, she hit it so fast. I thought he was just out of range. Didn't even realize. So nulisa certainly making the hot play right there. But then, going even more so with the Awilix pick, it's also going to, at the same time, limit what Fantastique can do. Should Bacchus jump on in, he gets pulled down instead of getting the belly flop. That could change a team fight just right there. So definitely Repikas is going to be a big part of what Cringe Crew try to bring against Fantastique, who want to really run this game through WorldEdit, setting up the rest of the team, whether it be nulisa with the damage, Jermain with the damage, or MoGoW with some more control.
The big thing, though, is that Repikas can't take his foot off the gas, right? One missed knockup is one thing. I still don't get this, right? Because you look at the composition and you have so many purification burners. You just burn purification on Zeus. This should be the priority target now for Cringe Crew. They should be trying to set up a kill on nulisa. 100-0 burster. She can't survive the Vulcan ult at this point, along with the Athena taunt.
Instead, Repikas is going to hang out towards the solo lane. Zero's going to push that one up, and that'll bring Repikas back towards mid. Shaggyshenk looking for something to do. With that passive, he spent a lot of time in lane and not much sort of just waiting around. But FleuryQ going to get stunned just a little bit. We'll be fine, though.
Yeah, I'm just really surprised that we're not seeing Cringe Crew try and force more, right? This is what their composition is designed around. They want to get into these smaller 2v2, 3v3 engagements. Once it becomes to big team fights, right, when you have to worry about Zeus, Bacchus, Thor, Odin, that's when it gets very dangerous. But in, smaller instances, they have the key, right? Burn some purification, move across the map, set up some invades. And just be aware of the Thor, right? That's the big thing. And maybe that's what's holding Repikas back. Maybe he doesn't have full vision on this Thor to where he feels it's a little bit too risky to go aggressive.
Both teams are playing very careful, Adonis. I mean, Cringe Crew right now showing a lot of respect, but I don't know. Too much respect is certainly a reality. Is that where Cringe Crew is at? I'm not too sure about that, but both teams playing it very safe to the point where I think we could see a little bit more aggression.
I mean, they could still be looking for mid-game, right? Wait for the power spike on the Vulcan, get Kero some big items, make sure that when you do go aggressive, you have the damage to kill someone and you don't have to worry about the possible Thor counter ganks. They could also be looking to set up more opportunities for gold instead, but it's actually Dardez pushed up here a little bit, and you could see most of Fantastique hanging around the corner, but still just farming.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see that three-man group from Fantastique head a little bit into the lane, but still WorldEdit trying to bide his time, look for the perfect opportunity, and certainly hasn't been found just yet.
No one seems very confident in their ability to dive. I think that's the big thing, is that Repikas and Kero, and to be fair, Fantastique have been pretty hip to hip. I haven't seen WorldEdit separate from nulisa too much. Dardez has been hanging around a lot, so it is a pretty big 3v3 fight if it's going to happen. But it seems like we're finally starting to see some aggression from Cringe Crew here. Just counter reward, but it was just splitting it together.
Man. When aggression is countering a ward, that's how you know the teams are playing really careful right now. No real big plays coming out from anybody. And really, it's where do you expect it to happen? Because this solo lane, you're going to see this all day. MoGoW gets pushed, MoGoW jumps over, and then clears, and everybody's happy. You're going to see the back and forth there. Really, like you said, mid-game, certainly where we're going to start to see some players. I expect everything to explode in the mid lane, and then whoever winds up winning.
It's going to be a single fight, right?
Yes.
And it's probably going to be centered around a Gold Fury. If it's not the Gold Fury, it'll break out in the mid lane. Yep. Someone gets ganked. I would imagine WorldEdit will probably set it up more than anyone, and then Fantastique look to do Gold Fury off of that, but no one's really interested in trying to get a lead right now. Both teams feel very confident in their mid-game team fights. There is a lot of high burst coming out from Fantastique. There's a lot of control coming out from Cringe Crew. They would rather have this decided through team fight playstyle rather than anything else.
Hot play coming out from Zyrhoes.
MoGoW jump is down.
Knowing that MoGoW was going to go ahead and do that.
Great.
Hot play from Repi. Uses the feather step to get out of the cage, but the pull on cooldown going to have to follow up manually. Raven Shield going to provide a lot of distance between the two players, but Repikas ultimately takes down MoGoW with the help of Zyrhoes.
We actually see WorldEdit come down too, but he's going to be in trouble. Taunted back into the turret, takes so much damage. The snipes from Jermain trying to finish off Kero in the mid.
Nice shot!
And he does find the third.
Even on the mark for the previous ones, but they were sanked out of Dardez. Still, wonderful accuracy from the French hunter right there. Fantastique tied things up as far as the kills are concerned. And I think this was the fight we were talking about, Kevin. Zyrhoes get knocked up as well. Forced out. Does nulisa have detonate? Yes, she does, but it's not enough. Zyrhoes gets out with 12 HP.
Can we highlight over Cloak real quick? The tier 1 of tier, right? Like, that saved him.
Yes.
Him backing and buying that and then teleporting in actually saved him. That's just enough protection to put him over into the I Stayed Alive category, but still Cringe Crew. They opened this up. They got the first kill, and they're also going to be able to start and finish the Gold Fury. Burned pretty quickly. Cringe Crew, slow to answer.
And MoGoW going to follow up and then get knocked up as well. He's fighting 1-on-2, about to be 1-on-3, but the cage will stop most players, not Repikas, who finds the blink. Feather step jumping over the wall, followed up, and Repikas steps on him with Suku.
Just no one on Fantastique had any inkling of wanting to keep MoGoW alive. Like, they all watched that happen. And look at this. That is the second time I've seen Zyrhoes force beads just by looking at someone. First on nulisa there in the mid fight, and then onto WorldEdit. They're very scared of this tier right now.
I mean, tier is so powerful when it comes to control. Not only because
Thor's in the sky.
He puts you someplace else, but he also deals a ton of damage.
nulisa, no ultimate online, and she's not going to be able to close this gap. Jiffy just trying to waste some time here, but a great wall actually finds 3 still in the tower range. Not enough to finish off any kills. You can see Jermain rotating. His ultimate is online. He has the damage to kill some of these players here if he knew where they were.
Not going to find them though, and again, big mention of the wall from WorldEdit. It's not about the individual addition of WorldEdit here and nulisa there. The combination mid jungle synergy. I think Fantastique certainly have a lot to learn and a lot to grow with, but watching WorldEdit and nulisa play together is really fun. You see the wall off as soon as the shield comes out to provide the AoE damage. That's calculated. That's there intentionally, and good job from Fantastique to defend their tier 1 tower, only allowing Cringe Crew to take about half of it.
A little bit surprising though. Fantastique did get that Gold Fury, but they're actually down. 180. It's really dead even at this point. And I guess that's just off Cringe Crew, just farming a little bit more efficiently in the early game. We didn't really see them put out too much pressure, but just the mid-Harpy and Fire Elemental control really where they came up big. And they were able to negate that first Gold Fury by Fantastique just because of it.
Well, Repi and Zyrhoes make the highlight reel play against MoGoW over there on the right side, which gives Cringe Crew ekes out even more of just a little bit of a lead, which obviously opened up the left side of the map for the Gold Fury. And Cringe Crew are going to continue to try this invade over and over again. And with 3 players, It's a little bit easier than with just one, and then two, and Repi showed up. But that's where CC's fighting their lead. They're routinely invading onto MoGoW, which makes a ton of sense, because an Odin with no blue buff is an Odin with not many happy feelings.
Yeah, I mean, it took them up until about 2 minutes to start doing it, but once they got that first kill, it's just been a snowball since then. We just saw the blue buff invade go through, and now, I mean, it's just going to be trouble for MoGoW. He's actually pretty close in gold, about 400 separating him and Zyrhoes, which that gold theory probably goes a long way in helping, but being down 0-3 and only 400 away from your opposing laner is actually, I mean, that's going to be a feels good man at that point. Just like, okay, I am not completely useless.
But I still don't have a blue buff, so it's sort of like
But
up
I still
and
don't
down.
have a blue buff.
It's an upside down smiley.
Actually, Blink picked up 2 for both of these solo laners, so Odin going to have those Blink engages. Definitely going to be looking to highlight onto that Vulcan more than anyone. Athena's not the worst to kind of trap inside as well. And honestly, I mean, Zyrhoes, you also force his ult if you have the damage to burst him.
And there's going to be the blink forward with the cage, sticking FleuryQ and Vulcan in some trouble, allowing Fantastique to get this tower for free. MoGoW trades his life, but the ultimate comes down. Tower's still alive, to be honest with you. Not going to find it. And Cringe Crew go a little bit hard, looking for the counter engage. Up in the sky it goes WorldEdit. And he's going to land defensively.
We could actually see Cringe Crew go very aggressive here. We did see Kero able to actually walk through that cage thanks to the Phantom picked up by FleuryQ. Recently buffed item now. Phantom still doing the same thing where, you know, 100% reduction to basic attack movement penalty, as well as able to go through player-made objects like Odin Wall. But now it's an AoE, so it affects your team.
That's a big deal. Jumping forward, it's going to be Dardez, just a little bit of protection. And Fantastique find themselves here on the back foot of the mid lane because MoGoW zones and goes a little bit too far. That was a tower, but MoGoW died.
I guarantee you MoGoW forgot about the Phantom change. I would bet any money on it that all of Fantastique completely forgot about the Phantom change when they locked in Odin. Not that Odin is, you know, completely negated now, but you have to be aware because Phantom is a very long cooldown, so you have to make your plays. You need to make sure to use your first cage to burn the Phantom. The issue was MoGoW wanted to full commit. He doesn't recognize that Phantom was picked up by FleuryQ, or at the very least that it could be used to get your team out. And so he does fall there just going way too deep, thinking that it was going to be this great engage because of his team.
And that really prevents Fantastique from taking out the tier 1 tower, allowing Cringe Crew to do this, to actually take out the tier 1 tower on the other side. So, you know, very small misplay of balance there goes in the other direction. And Cringe Crew actually find themselves a little bit up. It's really more about the map presence, though, that taking out the tier 1 mid tower.
I mean, 18 minutes in. Everything's dead even. The tier 1 tower in mid's also not the safest place for Cringe Crew. It's only a couple hits away from falling it right now. But like you said, it's this map that's so open right now, especially for Zyrhoes, right? He doesn't have a tower on the right-hand side that he has to take down outside of the tier 2. And so he can rotate in. And now with no tier 1 there for Nulisa, it's going to be very dangerous for her to push up without just kind of that hip-to-hip that we've seen WorldEdit and Dardez have to kind of follow her around with.
MoGoW gets his first buff in about 6 minutes. So he'll pick up his blue buff just barely. Cringe Crew going to start up the Gold Fury as well. 50% on the target.
Thor has all. He's taking way too long to go up in the sky.
See you later.
Fantastique just watch that happen.
No vision, really. Fantastique going to show up and say, hey guys, we just missed the Gold Fury. They had the right idea, but just a step too slow.
I'm really surprised that they gave that like they had to have known it was going on. Everyone was missing across the map. You saw them kind of hanging around mid, kind of peeking their head around. At this point, especially with the Vulcan, you have to know what's going on. No one either A, has the audacity to peek in and double check, or B, they just gave it up.
Yeah, I think that's the inexperience of this roster showing, and as the weeks go on, I expect to see things like that sort of go away. But for now, you know, that's a learning experience for Fantastique. It's going to give Cringe Crew a relatively large lead of 3,000 gold, and Fantastique going to have to start looking up to this and definitely make note of that.
This is where it's really going to start to matter, and Cringe Crew can't take their foot off the gas, right? They want to keep forcing stuff. Nulisa's only level 17 right now. She doesn't have any protection items online. She has gone for the mostly damaged Zeus. You know, at this point, it's kind of hard to call Dynasty played Helm a defensive item. Almost everyone picks it up.
There's the taunt onto Jermain, a little bit of help from Dardez, going to dissuade the aggression from Cringe Crew. Certainly hoping to find Jermain by himself. Not going to be the case.
And doesn't burn his purification. That's the big thing here, is that Cringe Crew are trying to force out every single relic they can without having to actually engage in a team fight. We've seen that a lot from Zyrhoes, where he's just walking up to people and go like, hey, am I going to fearless you? am I oh, there's your beads. Okay, thanks, man. Thanks.
Just walk away. Just walk away after you walk towards
And that's
them.
what FleuryQ needs to do more, right? It's better on an Athena because you actually do get the CC off, and a lot of times teams just panic, right? They're scared. They don't want to. They don't know if there's going to be this follow-up damage afterwards. And what a lot of subs and new players have trouble with is taking those aggressive stances, right? FleuryQ might not feel confident because he's not really far ahead right now in this game. He's pretty even.
And like I said, the over-aggression for Cringe Crew, I think, has been an issue for them. So maybe a little bit of a step back. Not saying that they should be completely passive, but a little bit of a step back could do them well. And Cringe Crew certainly in the lead right now, but just momentarily, if Fantastique have anything to say about it.
Also, Zyrhoes is getting shredded by nulisa, right? Like, Zeus has so much damage at this point, doesn't even have Rod of Tahuti online. Is that what? Dardez is actually a troll. I don't know why it took me so long to notice his Sunder. No, his Sunder.
Oh,
my man went Shoes of the Magi
Helm.
into Dynasty Plate Helm. Well, like, Dynasty Plate Helm and Sunder are like the same thing, where it's like... So, here's the thing, right? Dardez is looking to kill people, and that's it. He has no inkling of trying to keep nulisa alive. That job is reserved right now for WorldEdit, I'm assuming. Dardez wants to jump on people and almost one-shot them. The attack speed reduction is going to be only useful onto Shaggyshenk is the big problem, and Shaggyshenk is the complete counter to Bacchus because she uses agility and she dashes away after the knockup connects.
Yeah, the Sunder's a little curious, but I like the Dynasty Plate Helm. He's playing Warrior Bacchus here, basically. And when it comes down to it, Bacchus Peel, you're using your jump for initiation 9 times out of 10. Right? And then what do you have? A delayed stun that can be interrupted relatively easy. Bacchus makes sense if you want to build him offensively, especially when you have a Thor.
Well, here's the problem that Dardez is having, right? If you go Shoes of the Magi, you have to utilize them. You need to be aggressive. You need to be setting up these kills. Same thing with Dynasty Plate Helm. FleuryQ, who's gone into more of the farm-oriented build, he's got the Watcher's Gift, he's got the Traveler Shoes, and he has a 1,500, what is that? Almost 1,500 gold lead on Dardez. So now Dardez isn't really that tanky at this point.
Sure.
Also very down in gold. And the later this game goes, right, the less of an impact Bacchus damages. Early in mid-game, it's great because just percentage-wise, people aren't tanky enough based on their natural levels. The pin from Shoes of the Magi goes a long way. But if you're not being aggressive with Bacchus, there's no point in going into these items.
Which is rough to say because he has these items, but he's still relatively low on the player damage. You see Bacchus just sitting three from the bottom, excuse me, and it's so you've got all this damage item, but you're not actually making it happen. So Dardez, I don't have an issue with the build if you're going to play the build, but we're seeing a lot of passivity from a character that is built to be very offensive.
Well, both of these team comps actually are very aggressive, but neither team wants to be the aggressor because they know the other team is probably looking for the same thing. And also, right, it's just high CC coming out of Cringe Crew, CC for the CC. Fantastique just have a lot of damage, right? They have a Bacchus right now with Sunder, Shoes of the Magi, and Dynasty Plate Helm, and they have not used it once in 24 minutes.
Well, with this Gold Fury, might be the time to go ahead and play. Like you said, 24 minutes on the clock, only 6 kills, 4 of which belong to Cringe Crew. Certainly the lion's share of the situation. Gold Fury going to be started here, and this is really where you want to see Dardez make the play. You want to see him jump in, intoxicate, and then nulisa just sort of make it rain and get the triple kill. That's the goal here.
Repi on the side, though, here, and FleuryQ playing very back. MoGoW waiting. Phantom is up, so FleuryQ does have the hard counter to the Odin ult, but it's going to be trouble for Dardez. He's deleted!
And that's the problem, not able to even do it if he gets yanked out of the sky. Ultimate over the top, Kero not going to do much. FleuryQ trying to find damage on a MoGoW. The shield prevents that. On the right side, trouble for nulisa. Repi takes out WorldEdit, and Zyrhoes takes out the mid lane nulisa. 3 players going to group up and head towards mid. MoGoW still in trouble. Ultimate out of the Hunter. Shaggyshenk is that guy. 8 for Cringe Crew. Everybody still alive on the blue team.
That might have been the laziest back I've ever seen in pro-level Smite. I mean, MoGoW just backed right in front of the, like tried to back right in front of the opponents, but that's what we were talking about. Bacchus has all this damage, but the main issue is he didn't really go into any gold gain boots. He farmed up, and so he got so far behind, he didn't have the defensive items to keep himself alive, right? He has no tank boots. He's got no primary magical defense item outside of Urchin, with 0 stacks to note too. He went this Urchin build, but also there's not enough fights going on.
And that's credit to Cringe Crew taking advantage of that. Jermain shows his face.
Look at that CC, dude.
Just as quickly.
Is he gonna steal it?
He got the steal!
Absolutely absurd play from Jermain. He's gonna pay for his life. WorldEdit and Dardez get Fire Giant to their name. Nulisa doesn't spawn in time, but I talked so much about the CC from Cringe Crew, and we saw just that. We saw Jermain get almost CC'd to death, and then somehow gets his ult off at like 2 HP and finds the snipes because Cringe Crew had all pulled off outside of one person to try and kill Jermain.
I think it was the Vulcan turret.
Oh, that kept it aggro?
I think the Vulcan turret kept the Fire Giant aggro. The beautiful part of that was, as we watched Shaggyshenk get chased down by Fantastique over here, ultimate out of Dardez and a quick burp, but he sanked out. WorldEdit finds the back tap and goes into the sky, gonna chase down someone. It's gonna be Kero, lands on, gets
by
the
himself
stun.
though. He knows it too, and he's trying to displace himself there a little bit. And actually a great wall gonna buy time for MoGoW to rotate in. FleuryQ, I don't think his Phantom is up. It's not, and there's gonna be a 3-man knockup by Dardez. Kero to fall.
And Nulisa picks up one, wanting to find more, and that's the play that Dardez has been trying to. It's 26 minutes, and he finally makes the play. Before over there by the Gold Fury, he gets yanked out. He didn't even jump. He got knocked up into the pull from Repikas, and that's what we're seeing.
This is actually crazy right now what's happening in this game. This is actually crazy. A knockup from Zyrhoes as well. He's probably going to be able to get out of this one, but I mean, just going back to the Fire Giant,
Repi
right?
behind.
Oh, aggression. Repi trying to fight.
And he's going to pull one to get the feather set. MoGoW able to jump around. The tier 2 falls down, and Fantastique get what they came for.
Just Fire Giant gets stolen, and Cringe Crew kind of are lost. They all just still stay around in that jungle, I think still just amazed that Jermain came out with the Fire Giant, and then they just start getting picked off one at a time, and quickly, Fantastique have answered back. They've got 4 kills to their name. They were able to pick up Kero in that engagement, and 2 towers.
Yeah, I love that you said they looked lost. Cringe Crew were still up 6K, and 3 players had a Fire Giant buff. That's not that's not a situation that Fantastique, oh man, they're gonna come back and win the game now. You're still up 6,000 gold. Just group up and shut down the 3 players with the Fire Giant. It's not that large of a task, but Cringe Crew, they can't really come together and find that unity, and Fantastique are able to just sort of make it happen. They kind of just hodgepodge together this comeback play.
There's still about a 4K lead. Fire Giant on the 2 players remaining here. Little low as Jermain trying to take the 1v1 against Shaggyshenk, and Shaggyshenk bails out immediately. Also, Jermain forces both ultimates from the duo lane.
Jermain is the most confident player out there. He'll play like he's up 10,000 gold when he's down 20K.
So he's Dardez, but a hunter.
That's why
these two were made to lane together. Like they were actually, like they're just so good at fighting and killing people here. Cajun as well here on FleuryQ. No Phantom available for him. It does come up in time, but he's already died.
Zyrhoes from the backside going to push up some players, but damage has already been done. Nulisa and WorldEdit combined take out 2 players by themselves, and then pushing down. Jermain again from the length of the lane takes out a player.
Finally, 1 falls 2. Cringe Crew can answer back, but Nulisa cleans up. It's going to be all 5 dead. A deicide now for Fantastique. Only WorldEdit falls, and they actually may win the game off of this.
It's possible,
27 seconds on FleuryQ. Wow. This is going to be game. Fantastique are going to find it.
Triple kill going for Nulisa. WorldEdit gets 1, and Jermain shoots 1 from the other side of the Nile River. Cringe Crew lead the game for the entirety of the map. In fact, right before the Titan falls, Cringe Crew still have a gold lead, and Fantastique able to turn it around, and I think everybody's looking at Mr. Laughman. It's all about the Jermain Rom right there. 1 single set of snipes takes out the Fire Giant, and whether or not it gave them the mathematical lead, they had the momentum.
I don't even know what to say about that game. That was so weird because both teams had just like these aggressive compositions, one centered around damage, one centered around heavy crowd control, and they did nothing for 20 minutes.
Yep.
There's a single fight. Cringe Crew now suddenly has a 6K gold lead, and Jermain then gets CC'd by 700 players, somehow gets his ult off and kills the fire giant because Vulcan turret kept attacking it to get low.
Yep, absolutely.
And then they wipe him and then just walk in. And anyways, Fantastique coming up with the win there. You can see nulisa doing most of the damage, 16k to her name.
Ooh.
And damage-wise, I mean, everything seems pretty normal here. Like we said, the Bacchus not really able to get anything rolling until the last couple fights. You could see he shot up very close to actually most of what CC does.
Yeah, I mean, the Zeus juice certainly came through. You can see MoGoW overshadowed a little bit. Repikas before that last sweep, I would imagine, overshadowed a little bit. A lot of good stuff for Cringe Crew, but that single fire giant, you know, I talk a lot about how much Smite is outside of the stats, and it's a momentum-based game. This game is proof in the pudding, man.
I mean, it was definitely momentum-based. I mean, you know, Cringe Crew trying to force the fire giant, everything makes sense. They had 4 kills, right? There's only one person alive at the time. It's Jermain, and they do exactly what they need to. They all drop off of it. I think one person kept it active along with the Vulcan turret.
Here it is.
And we're just going to watch this back.
Yeah,
right? Did anyone make a mistake on Cringe Crew? Okay, they all peel off. I mean, that's the only mistake is Zyrhoes pushed him out of Vulcan Meatball, but at that time, like, that's really hard to call. And then he just makes it up in the sky, finds the shot. She dies eventually.
I gotta say, man, Jermain and I have had my issues with Jermain way in the past. He's matured away from this deviant troll to just more this like, listen, I'm my guy, I'm confident. He gets the shots, he knows he's dead when he lands, but he's hitting laugh. He's hitting laugh the entire time in the sky. I'm loving it, man.
I mean, we saw what Cringe Crew did after that. They all just kind of stuck around and got picked off one at a time. Yeah. They might have been pissed off at him.
That's exactly what I mean. Hey,
that's one thing that Jermain and Dardez do is they get in your head if you're on the opposing side to them. I'm
always gonna go back to DreamHack Masters, was it, where Epsilon, we have the Yaman Neath taunt
onto DJ.
He taunts DJ Perdigus, like not Athena taunt, VET taunt, and eager dive him and lose the game. I will always go back to that. Smite, mental, and momentum-based. Right there. Winning despite the stats going in the direction of the other team. Fantastique come out on top.